Merlin can't land his plane. Like he's having a psychological problem up there. And even though Maverick is instructed to land his plane, and even though he's got no freaking fuel, he touches ground and he gets right back up in the air. And he goes to go get Merlin.
Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Session Podcast, where we have deep, transformative conversations to help you transform your mind to transform your life. I'm your favorite freedom and financial life coach, Coach Sapphire Starr. And with me, I have my favorite co-host, Coach
McCloud.
And we are here with another banger. Yes. But before we get into the conversation, guys, of course, we would love for you to join our tribe by visiting www.soulshiftsessions.com. You can also please make sure you follow us on our Instagram at Soul Shift Sessions. Coach Kyle, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about the films that we love and that may even have shaped us throughout our lives.
I'm so excited about this. When we were trying to figure out what the conversation was going to be today, because we were struggling. But when you said, "Ooh, let's talk about movies," the little girl in me just got really excited.
And the thing is, people are probably looking at like, are they going to talk about Sinners? No, we're not talking about Sinners.
Although we're not this time.
Fantastic film, by the way, but Sapphire has not seen it again, so.
And maybe when I see it and we'll give it some time, we'll come back and have a conversation.
All right, we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so off camera, you said that your favorite childhood movies are two, which is Goonies, which is such a fun film, right? Such a fun film. And then there's Indiana Jones. And I'm assuming you're talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's what I'm assuming you're talking about.
Yes.
A lot of those were fun films. Okay, so I got to talk about Goonies first.
Okay, let's go.
Not only is it a fan favorite, like between my mom and I, but like my kids like it as well.
Oh, really?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the last time we saw Goonies, it was in Jacksonville, Florida, at the park where they had like a movie in the park type thing. And we had the blankets and the kids were little, but you ask them about Goonies, they'll still remember that movie. They'll still remember that time. So fun film.
Yes. And I think for me, as I reflect back on just my childhood, just who I am now, I think what really resonated with me with both films is the adventure aspect. Let's go on an adventure. Let's go discover, because that was so me as a kid. I was such a tomboy. It was nothing for me to go in the woods with my stick looking for something or climbing a tree to discover what's at the top of something. That was not far-fetched for me. So those movies just spoke to my adventurous, free soul.
I love it. I mean, there are so many fun things about that film, from like the friendship, right? So you got this group of friends. And I would say the one thing about Goonies that to me as growing up that I would feel is misleading is the number of friends. Like you find out later that we don't typically have like that large a number of friends like that are that close, but but they're young. Just like you do. Yeah, I don't. Not that they all get together like they did in Goonies, right? Like it's not like a pack of us. So
what about kid?
I'm going to say no, but that was more of circumstances. Moving from one house to another and then going to school only for 3 years when I grew up in Plainfield, but I had to go to a private school in Newark that was like welcome to the jungle. So very, very different. And I guess there was in high school, there's probably about 4 of us, that were pretty tight.
Because how many of them was it in the clan?
Well, if you take out the brother and the 2 girls, you had 1, 2, 3. Maybe was it just 3 of them? It might have just been 3 of them.
Well, I just mean that all that went on the adventure was about maybe 4 or 5 altogether,
Well,
right?
it had to be 6 at
Yeah,
least.
6. Yeah. And
So
for me, because growing up in my family, on my mom's side, it's 4 girls, but the
yeah.
rest are boys. So there's a lot of boy cousins. And
Mhm.
so my boy cousins were my friends. Now, my the girl cousin that was closer to me in age, she wanted to stay in the house and play with dolls.
And that's not
And
true.
that's
That's
not
not no, that's not
and
how you get down.
little tea
Right.
parties.
Get
I'm
your
like,
pie. Right.
bye. So I would be outside with my boy cousin. So
Right.
that tracks with, me being with them, but also because, we're cousins, but we grew up like siblings,
Yeah.
and those are my friends.
You know what's
Yeah.
awesome about it is the not only the adventure aspect of it, but nothing goes according to plan.
I never thought about that.
Like nothing goes according to plan. Like fortunately they happen to have someone who can read music, otherwise they'd all die. Right? And she wasn't even that great at reading music, right? Because they almost died. Right.
Right.
And so that was but nothing goes according to plan. And that's a lot like life, right? We set out to do something and we have a picture in our mind of how it's gonna look when we go do it, but it never goes that way. I
Yeah.
want to say a lot of times it doesn't go that way, but it never goes the way you think it.
And also, ultimately, I do believe that even though things don't go the way we plan, they still work
They
out.
still
Like
work
they
out.
still work
They still
out.
work out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like, and
mean,
you're still like, "Yes, like,
yeah,
we made it, we did it, we
yeah,
arrived,
yeah.
we didn't die."
Didn't die, right? Save mom's house, right? We got the rate list, we got the mortgage right here. We
And I
got
think
the
that's a
mortgage.
fun way for us to look at life, looking through the lens of children, through adventure, through freedom. But, like, why is it when we become adult, we lose all that?
Because secretly we've been told that we have to take things more seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
I listened to this podcast for the Diary of a CEO, and he was interviewing a Shaolin master. Don't ask me his name because I'm not gonna remember. I can look it up. But one of the things the Shaolin master said at the very beginning, he was talking about not taking yourself so seriously.
You sent me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my hardest times, it's very challenging to not take yourself so seriously and not take the situation so seriously. It's just so hard. And it's hard because of there are layers and layers of experiences that you've had that whenever you're dealing with kind of goes with it bumps up against those experiences, or those experiences shape your perception about what it is that you're dealing with at the time. And so not taking yourself so seriously, it's like reprogramming all of you.
It's true freedom, honestly. I began a journey of healing my inner child about 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And what sparked it was I was on Instagram, and this girl, she had on some LA gears, and they lit up. And she was like, "I always wanted these as a kid, and now I have them." And she was strutting down the street with her little LA gears. And she said something about healing her inner child. And I was like, I want to do that, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know where to begin, where to start, but I put it out there. I was like, I want to begin this journey of healing my inner child. And God has brought people into my life, has brought experiences into my life that helped me begin that journey of tapping into that inner child, healing that inner child, and just becoming free. And oh my God, and I'm still on the journey,
Yeah.
but the more and more I get through it, things become clearer and clearer about what the purpose of it is, and I'm free.
No,
I'm
I love that because I remember when we first started recording the podcast, you called me up and was like, was that too much? Was it like, and I was like, girl, I'm awesome. Like you're being unapologetically you, and it was just like so refreshing. But there was that little thought, like
yeah, that creeps up. Yeah.
that creeps up, and um I know that there are certain things that I still dance with that I've been, managing for a long time, and I don't, and maybe that's the next thing for me is instead of managing it to heal it so that it just never affects me the way it has in the past.
And
Um,
going back to that time in your life as far back as you can remember where you first felt that, like, maybe you were a kid and someone said, don't do something, don't say something, and that began to shape you. But going back to the very first time
yeah,
it happened, and you're like, and just going back to that moment and, rewiring or recreating that reality and like the adult you telling the child you, hey, you can do it.
yeah,
I'm back here to come help you and heal you and bring you back.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
More adventure, more
Yeah,
discovery,
yes.
more what the hell is happening?
I ain't gonna lie, the scene with the snakes, I was like, no. 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 No, 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 no. I can't even imagine shooting that scene live. And I'm sure every snake in there was probably harmless. Had to be. Right? Well, no,
Yep.
too many. It's too many.
And how many snakes do we have to go through in life?
Yeah.
Uh, we could speak about it.
It starts out one way and then turns out to be something else, So Indiana Jones, though, he doesn't strike me as someone who is having fun, right? Like, he is, I'm sure, but he might be the adult version of the Goonies, like the more serious version of
Oh,
himself, right? Now, this is a real thing. This is a job. And like, people get hurt. I could get killed. And I'm gonna do it anyway.
he shows up. He shows up every
He
time because
does
he doesn't
show
have
up.
to.
He does
He
show
shows up.
up.
He gears up. He put the gear on. Like that
Right.
takes attention. The
Right.
hat, the belt, like that takes attention.
Whip, right? The talent with that whip,
That takes
all
attention.
take attention. But yet he is probably out of the people the characters I'm thinking on the screen, he is probably one of the most just even keel real persons that you'll come across. Because what you get, what you see really is what you get.
What you
Like,
get.
he doesn't
Yeah.
have any ulterior motives. Like, this is whatever the mission is, if he's pissed at you, he's pissed at you, and I love he has this like he's not falling for nobody. Like he gets in relationships, but he's like, I can keep it moving.
Yep.
Not only can, he does.
He does.
He does. Like, I'm not gonna be sidetracked by the damsel in the movie, right? He's not.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, we can equate that to distractions in
right.
life.
He's not gonna let someone distract him from what he's got going on.
Yeah.
And I love the second one too, because that's where the little boy is in there. And he is just, not only is he a breath of fresh air, but he like is innovative. He's fun. And I'm not sure, is he the same? It's not the same actor though from the Goonies though, right? Is it the same actor?
Oh, I never really thought about that. I'm not sure. Now I'm gonna have to go back
In
and
both
check.
movies, both characters are very innovative and creative. And like,
Yeah.
they have the inventions, like when he's got in the Goonies, when he's got the little mouth thing that shoot up and save him from falling. Pictures of him.
Oh my God. Yes. Like good stuff. Now we need to talk about what's your
What, two
favorite?
movies? All right.
Favorite movies.
My favorite movies are Top Gun
Okay.
and The Matrix.
I can see that.
And and the thing about Top Gun, what I really appreciate about that storyline, and I may have said this on the podcast before, but when they released the second movie a couple years ago, they show the progression that Maverick has had over all this time. And although people love Maverick, he's the hero. People like they love Maverick. I feel like I might want to be the few people that say you don't want to be like that
Why?
because he never moves on from the death of his friend back in the 80s. He lit like if you go to his home, which is a hangar, by the way, nothing but relics. Everything from back then, the motorcycle, the pictures, and every like he never takes on another person, as far as like a rear. He never takes on another one. And he still is an F up in the military. And the only reason why he is able to have the career he is because he's got someone watching out for him, which is the same guy he fought with in the first movie. Because once
Wow.
he dies, the Navy can't wait. They don't even let his body get cold before they kick Maverick down. I ain't saying even in the ground for a long time. And then already Maverick is gone, right? And finally, we can get rid of Maverick, because his protector is in the ground,
It's gone.
and I'm like, you never want to be that, like, you have to find a way to move on and not stay stuck in that same place because it's a miserable life.
Yeah. And I think that's difficult for some people because it's like, how do you move on but not feel like you're leaving behind the person that is
Yep.
no longer here? You still want to be able to honor them and celebrate
Yep.
their memory, but not feel like they're forgotten. So I know
Right.
a lot of people that have experienced deaths and the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
When you see them, sometimes it's like they're stuck in time. It's like
Yeah.
they're stuck that whenever that moment happened, that's where they are. And like you said, get stuck. They can't move forward.
Yeah.
But then you see some people who do have the ability to move forward
Yeah.
from circumstances like that. And it's like, how do you find that balance?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I do
Yeah.
not know because I think for everyone that is their own personal journey and how.
Yeah. How they read. Yeah, that's challenging. Yeah. And I will say for me, it's it's easier for me than I think others.
I think so.
Oh yeah, it's easier because my perspective is, especially a family member, is like their blood still runs through my veins.
Mm.
And me living an amazing life is how I honor them, how I continue to show up is me carrying the legacy. So it's important. It's I can't be stuck. I can't stay here
Yeah.
because I can't die with them.
Right.
They wouldn't want that. I
No.
wouldn't want that for my loved ones to die with me. Carry the legacy, pick up the torch. And so that's how my brain is wired when I lose someone. Does it hurt? Yes. Do you still grieve? Yes. But for me, what gives me solace, what gives me peace and joy is to know that I'm living a life that they would be proud of.
Yeah. 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 Um, there's so many things about Maverick that is there to like unpack
Yeah.
because he's got the whole thing with his father that kind of gives a dark cloud over his career, and he and his friend, no matter what, they lived like their hair was on fire. And it's just like this reckless abandon as far as their approach. And when Goose dies, it all dies with
That's with them. Yeah. 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 So
him.
why do
And
you like that? Why do you like that movie?
first of all, planes, jet fighters, right?
Testosterone.
Right. All of that. But the other thing is there are a lot of qualities that he has that I felt were beautiful qualities. Case in point, at the very beginning of the movie, um, the person that he's flying with, is they're not under attack, but they're like basically playing war games with Russians, and the one Russian gets the best of the other, and they don't really know that whether this is going to be a lethal situation or not. But he knows that he doesn't have permission to fire unless he's been fired upon. And in this case, if he gets fired upon, he's down. And so they didn't say it back then, but he had a panic attack while he was up there. That's really what the pilot was dealing with, was having a panic attack while flying this F-14 Tomcat at God knows what speed. And so when it's time for them to land their planes, Maverick hears that Merlin can't land his plane, like he's having a psychological problem up there. Even though Maverick is instructed to land his plane, and even though he's got no freaking fuel, he touches ground and he gets right back up in the air. And he
Yeah.
goes to go get Merlin.
Yeah. That was definitely a classic part of the movie for sure. Yeah.
And I mean, he risked him and his boy's life
Yeah.
to save another two individuals. And it's dicey in the real world when you think about like what you'll sacrifice to save others. But at the same time, it is one of the most noble things that I've seen on the screen.
Yeah. And I think, I've been in situations and circumstances where if something happens, I'm not necessarily even thinking. I'm just like reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I see someone that is in need or whatever, I'm just jumping in. But afterwards, I'm like, oh, was that probably I should have,
And that's what he did, right?
You don't really.
Right. Everybody's telling you get on the ground, land your plane. He's like,
Not even a second thought. Yeah. Like I remember as a kid,
yeah,
I'm big sister. And so I have two younger brothers, but my brothers are big dudes.
yeah,
But I'm big sister. And I remember we went to a concert. We were teenagers. We went to this concert, and outside of the concert, we were leaving afterwards. And these two boys approached my little brother, and they were popping off like, "Oh, we gon' XYZ." And I was like, "Oh, you ain't gonna do nothing." And you just nothing. And these boys, and I was like, "Oh, you ain't gonna do nothing." Like I was ready. Brothers, y'all step back. I would take both of these clowns down. Like
you are in your full David mentality. Like, come on, Goliath, I ain't scared of you. Come
yes,
on,
come on, because
come on, me.
I'm the person that I don't care what you say to me most times. I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter. But when it comes to people I care and love about,
Yeah,
it's on site.
yeah, yeah.
On site.
Yeah, I am definitely the lover, not fighter. And I will, even in conversation, I will even probably not so much as yield, but I'm not going to hold on too tight to my own personal opinion or feelings, so much so that it has to come out. But when it does, it does, you know? And I have a pretty long rope. But once I'm at the end of it,
Gangsta Cow coming out. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want Gangsta Cow.
so hey, I remember in my head that the last physical altercation I got into, I was like mad because my streak was over. You know how like at the factory they have like so many days without incident? And now I gotta start over? I gotta start over? I gotta start over from what? For like freaking 40 plus years, or at least 30 something years. No incidents. Right.
The fact that there's a log is hilarious. That there's even a log. There's 365,000 more incidents.
Yep. Yep.
So let's talk about Matrix. I don't know anyone who does it like the Matrix. Like that was such a good movie. Jeez.
Yes. And there's so many different. I'm glad we waited till like the later part to talk about the Matrix, because there are about, I'm going to take two characters I want to highlight in this one. We obviously want to highlight Neo because he is the one, right? And he is the one who had to be convinced that he was the one. And even in the convincing, he had to still figure that out himself. And my favorite, though, is Morpheus. I love Morpheus because Morpheus, he's the one who has the team together.
Yeah.
Everyone knows he's the boss, but he ain't got to say he's the boss.
Yeah.
And he's the one who said, you may have been spending your time looking for me, but I spent my lifetime looking for you.
Wow.
And he leads with his conviction. And he leads with his belief. And yet he still says, all I can do is show you the door. You've got to be the one to walk through it. And whatever the Oracle told you, that's for you. That's not for me. Like, there's so many gems.
You took the words out of my mouth. And I love the woman. I can't think of her name, but
the Oracle or Trinity?
Trinity.
Yeah. Trinity is interesting because she's the number 2, obviously. So she supports the hell out of Morpheus.
Yeah.
She believes in his mission. She believes in what they're doing. But she is scared to say how she really feels. She's scared to even acknowledge her own feelings until the very end.
That is me in life.
Hey, you know what? I carry a lot of the being scared to say how I really feel. And when there are times when you are saying how you really feel about something and then it doesn't go the way that you are hoping it would go, like it's not received or it's rejected or it's turned into something else, it makes you want to go back to this place called I should have never said nothing in the first place.
Yeah. And I would say for a long time in my life, that was what stopped me from sharing. But I'm to the point in my life where however I feel, whatever I share, I'm not necessarily making it about them. And what I mean by that is their response, their reaction is theirs. They own it. I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah.
For me, success is the ability to share, to put it out there, and then be like, okay. Once I remove the expectation of controlling how someone else is going to, or expecting someone to feel anything about what I'm sharing, whether it's good, bad, or indifference, that really liberated me to be more open to just share. Yeah.
So Trinity, I was, that's what the hesitation was when I said 2, because like I really did want to say 3.
Right.
With Trinity, right? But I'm like, I don't have enough time to go into Trinity. I don't have enough time to talk about her, right? Like,
that I brought, like, you know,
I appreciate you bringing that out, right? I appreciate that because I really, she's very quiet, you know, like I don't think she has a ton of lines in this film.
But she's powerful. It's that quiet, feminine strength and power.
It's like quiet, feminine strength and power. It is all of those things.
Without having to say much at all. And that's, as women, I pray as women that we really tap more into that. and to understand that's where our true power lies, is in our femininity. I'm not saying we have to be quiet, but what I'm saying is we hold
Yeah.
mentally, if we understand, we hold the power. We don't have to constantly assert ourselves, even though we feel like we have to be
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
But our true strength and power is in our femininity and how we gracefully show up and bring that energy to the yin and yang. Oftentimes, I know for me, I feel like I have to match that yin energy. I mean
Mm,
that yang,
mm.
to be able to be like, okay, you bringing that, I need to bring, but no, I don't have to match
Well,
that energy because
yeah.
my energy is powerful too in the way that I bring it. But oftentimes in this patriarchal patriarchal society we live in, you feel like you have to come up to that to assert yourself, to be like, hey, I'm here. I'm like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you begin to embody that, but that's not our nature. And so that's why there's a constant struggle, because it's not our nature, but we feel like we have to do it to be seen and be heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. So when Neil finally realizes that he can do something that has never been done before, he doesn't even realize. He's like, I believe I can do it. I believe I can bring it back. And after, like, when all the guns show up and he walks into the federal building and he sets off the alarm and they're like, can you take out your, any metal and so anything you have in your pockets? And he opens up that coat and you just see tons of weapons. And then they hit Trinity, they go in. They go in. And it was, oh my God, the best scene. It might be my favorite action scene in all. Well, there's a lot of John Wick stuff too.
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Wick,
And well, it's in the moment in the conversation we're having right now. Yes.
right? Yes, yes. Before, it's the best pre-John Wick thing I have ever seen. John Wick is amazing.
It's safe to say that when we think about genres, because we're talking specifically about movies that we
Yeah.
like, I think it's safe to say that we like action. We both
Yes.
like action,
Yes.
both love adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, because as I'm thinking, because I have so many movies that
Yeah.
and TV shows.
Yeah.
I used to love watching Maverick and how he used to bring shit up and put shit back together like that. Like, as I'm going through the movies in my head from childhood to now, is definitely action and adventure.
Absolutely. But my first one we have not mentioned. All right, there's two movies I want to mention. One is a cultural thing. I don't know if you, and I feel like you do this, but I don't know if, like, thinking off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But if you speak in movies, right, you speak lines. One of the things that is a staple in my family is color purple. Like, we literally communicate
In Color Purple.
color purple, right? So, case in point, if my sister asks me a question and I'm not sure, the response is could be, could be not. Who's to say? And
What's the fight about to pop off? Miss Sophia, no!
Miss Seeley, Miss Seeley, no. Oh no, Miss Sophia when she was about to fight the cops, right? No, Miss Sophia, no.
Yes.
But the other one was when she was about to cut Mr. She's like, ooh, that knife look mighty dull to me, Miss Seeley. Mighty dull, mighty dull, right?
That's probably a
He knew
yeah.
that it was
That's
about to be a wrap.
That's definitely probably up there with the most quotable lines.
Yeah.
That's definitely a cult classic. I think that's
Yeah.
not even just, that's definitely a classic, period.
You told
that's-
Harpo to beat me.
Yeah. Hopper, who this woman? We say that all. Hopper, who this woman?
Harpo, who this woman?
Let me tell you my most quotable movie in my house.
What's that?
Life.
Really?
The burn.
And that's interesting because we don't have like we love life. We love life, but we're not quoting life in my family.
White only.
We are not quoting life.
Where the f is that?
Oh,
Listen, there were certain movies in my house that I watch all the time with my daughter, and when I think back on it, I'm like, maybe we shouldn't have been watching those together, but it was definitely life. It was definitely Temptations.
oh God, yes. Because ain't nobody here to hear you, Otis.
Ain't nobody here to see you, Otis. And Otis is the last surviving one. I guess we here now.
You're waiting seeing Otis not.
Yeah, because he's like, they were Temptation. First of all, I didn't even know they were still going, first of all.
How crazy.
They were just on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Really?
Yes.
Then
Go
Otis
check
is
out the
still
clip on
doing it.
YouTube. And Otis is still performing.
That's awesome. And Temptation lines, but fiction was the 5 Heartbeats.
Wow. It's
When old boy is like strung out on drugs and he's like, I like this now with ready drugs good.
there's so many. Then like I said, when we talk about the cult classic, Friday, Boys in the Hood,
Yeah.
Dead Presidents.
What's your favorite hood one? Because mine is Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood. But Menace to Society like shook me a little bit.
Set It Off.
Ooh.
4 powerful women lead characters. Like,
Yeah.
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 Well, I don't think we're talked about anything transformative with these films. Like now we're just reminiscing.
I think we did when we first came out the game.
Right.
We gave like life lessons.
Right.
We
Right.
compared
Now
it
we're
to
just like we're
now
now going down memory lane, right?
yes.
But it is amazing how we will use that to communicate, though. And I don't know if that's like a common thing amongst other all families or just certain families. Maybe there's music versus movies because I think there's some people that communicate
Through music.
using music. We do that a little bit, but mostly
movies.
mostly movies. But now, one thing I don't want to forget, and this does kind of take us back into the transformative side of things, is from a leadership perspective and a coming together perspective. Remember the Titans. And I have actually taught classes based off of scenes from Remember the Titans.
Wow.
Such as trust versus alignment. And I've helped my participants understand that if you can have trust, that's great. But there are times where alignment is going to be the thing that holds you together to start off with. And if you think about it, you had a white coach who lost his job to no fault of his own to a black coach. And then the black coach says, come work for me. Come be my defensive coordinator, assistant head coach. And these two guys find a way to work together and bring the white population and the black population together as a team. So when they leave at camp, they are divided. When they come back from camp, they are kumbaya-ing it up. Like the families are like, did they give them drugs? Like what happened? And then in those courses where I teach, I would always end with, just because you're transformed doesn't mean your environment is transformed. Ooh. Because they had to go back. They had to go back to their parents, and their parents
are not
they were not transformed. They were still stuck in the way that they were.
That you just dropped a gem right there. Like, just because you're transformed
doesn't mean everybody else is around you.
Doesn't mean the people around you are. Listen, that's gonna be the next podcast because I have a whole like in my head. I'm like, oh, who, let's talk about it. But next, guys, next, because I'm just like, you drop
What?
the gem, you drop gem, you drop a topic, you drop a headliner or banger.
I appreciate that.
Wow,
I
that
I haven't done that class in so long that
bring
there
it
are
back,
times where I forget that I even did it.
bring it back. That is amazing. And now you got me sitting here thinking about what's the most transformative movie I've ever like that I've watched.
Mm.
And it's not coming to me right now. Hopefully by the end of this podcast it comes to me
The
because I
most
have so many good
transformative
stuff.
movie.
Yeah, I have so many good stuff, but I'm like, what would I say the most transformative one would be in terms of just life in general?
Yeah.
So yeah, but we'll come back. Hopefully it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you dropped the banker just then. That's definitely a conversation. What happens when you're transformed
Yeah.
and your environment isn't?
And if you think about it, the level of transformation that those boys experienced at the camp, God, it was the camp was a movie by itself. It really was.
Yes.
Because you had a player who was white who ended up checking his best friend who was white. And that created a rift that was never repaired between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, because he chose not to be transformed. Everybody else was. He was not. And when he became best friends with Julius, who's black, Julius shows up to the house for the first time, and Mama is taken back. And remember, transformed versus not transformed. What does a transformed person do? Wraps her up in a bear hug. Like, you may not love me, but I love you.
And there's nothing you can do about
And
it.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Like, my mind is just racing on what you're saying because I'm just thinking about just my life right now.
Yeah.
And, this transformed person that I am transforming because it's constantly happening. But I went back, I'm gone back home
Yeah.
and seeing things through a different lens and just the people that I'm around is like, how do you navigate that? But when you said that, it just puts things more in perspective and it just allows me to give people more grace too, because I don't think I extended as much grace as I should to people. I'm just like, oh, I'm not dealing with it. But I should give more grace.
Yeah. For the relationships that matter.
Yeah.
Right. For the relationships that matter, there's giving grace. And then there's giving grace and there's giving love until it is no longer possible to do those things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's a sad realization, but there are going to be people that you can only love them so much before you have to like let them go.
Let them go. Yeah.
And we can't tell you when that is. Like, every person has to figure that part out on their own. And it's painful, it's heartbreaking, and to some degree, it's a grieving process that you'll end up going through.
Yeah. Trust me. I've grieved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I'm sitting here now. I'm still thinking about this movie, which I don't know if it's going to come to me in this episode. But for some reason, a book keeps coming. And I'm like, no, I said movie. He said movie. Girl said movie.
Break the rule. What's the book?
Tuesday with Maury.
All right, tell me now. You read way more books than I do, so please tell me about Tuesday with Maury.
values, and I forget uh, the actual. So the characters in the book, this guy, I believe, and I'm probably gonna jack this up, but his professor is dying,
Okay.
and he has this disorder where his body is deteriorating, but his mind isn't.
Mm.
And this guy is watching this happen. Well, for me, it just really forced me to really dig deep in terms of what really matters in life and the things that bring us joy and really appreciating those things and having gratitude, something as simple as birds chirping, children laughing type of thing we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
But that movie just sent a jolt because I was like, imagine a life where you can't necessarily physically do what you want, but your brain is still like, let's go. We always
Mhm.
talk about belief, action, results, but and the mind and the body. But what happens when the mind is like, let's go, but the body physically cannot?
To
And
me,
what that does psychologically into this cycle of getting what you want, it
that sounds like a really hard existence. And I'm being really nice when I say really hard, because if your mind is good and your body is, it's like
yeah,
being in prison.
that's a real prison. We talk about a physical prison, but I think, and that's what Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental, because this is really, if you're in prison here,
Yeah. Yep.
you might as well be locked behind bars. I believe you could be locked behind bars physically, but if your mind is still strong, you can navigate more. But if this is,
Right.
the other way around, but yeah, it really is. Yeah. So that movie just really, every time I think about things in life, I just reflect back to that movie. I mean, that book,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just to remind myself of just taking in the joys, the true joys and things that matter in life.
Yeah. It's also about being present to right
Yes.
now, as opposed to dwelling on the past
Yeah.
or dwelling on the future, which is, I don't want to say, well, no, I'm going to say it. It's a challenge for me because I replay conversations over and over again. And then I replay how those conversations, like the upcoming ones, could go, or what those interactions are going to be like. So for me, staying here in the present, in the now, is a constant practice for me. Constant practice.
Same here. And I think that's the air sign thing too, is like a personality thing. We're constantly like everywhere but here.
Right. Right.
Everywhere but here.
The wind moves, right? The wind never stays in the same spot.
Yeah. 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 And I have affirmations. I have things on my phone. Be present, the now. Like I have things that remind me, like cues to be like, hey, this is where we are. Cause I will be a year from now. I will be down here.
Right.
I will be gone. I'm like, oh, let's come
Right.
back.
Right. Right.
And that's where organized chaos comes from. The concept
Yeah.
is basically a grounding tool for myself to just come back.
Yeah.
You could take off, but come back.
Yeah.
Come back. This
All
was
right.
such great. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to know what the audience feels are their favorite movies. I want to know, what are they feeling? And what have they gotten the biggest lessons from?
Yes, yes. Please put it in the comment section. If you know someone who can use a soul shift, please make sure you share this episode. Make sure you are subscribed to our channel. We are on a mission and goal to get 100 more subscribers. So please help us out with that. We really, really appreciate it. Again, make sure you are following us on our social media platform, Soul Shift Sessions Podcast on Instagram and join the tribe at www.soulshiftsessions.com. If you would love to be a guest and join the conversation live, go to www.soulshiftsessions.com. We really, really do appreciate you guys. And any final words, Coach Kyle?
Yes. My quote. These mountains that you carry, you were only supposed to climb.
Like that? Wow. Sir. Sir.
I had to up my quote.
Yeah, like,
I had to up my quote game for this season.
and you did that. You bought the quote game. Like, listen, if no one else's soul is stirred, mine is. So you got
When I
one.
read that for the first time, and by the way, the author, I don't even have, I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not even gonna try. But man, I do carry a lot.
The mountains we carry, we were just only supposed to. That's a.
Thank you.
I'm just letting that marinate.
Yeah. I know. That one's gonna be probably the rest of the week for me.
I needed that. I didn't even know I needed that, but I needed that.
Yeah, because you got a big week coming up.
I feel like every week in my life is
Yeah, this is different though.
very is emotional. I feel like it, and that's my challenge. I don't like feel things.
Yeah, especially when it has to do with unknown, right? Like
I can't control.
and you can't control it. It's the unknown and you can't control it. So yeah. And I'm with you. So if there's anything you need, you freaking call me. Okay.
Thank you, Fred.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. All right, guys, we appreciate you being here. And as always, never forget and always let your soul glow. Until next time, guys.
So long, everyone.